Still energized?
Yes.
3 days of this event, this amazing event?
Yeah.
Awesome. Hello, welcome. Come in, join us. We're going to be sharing some very interesting tips. Right, so today's topic is take time to nurture relationships and friendships. Raise your hand if you believe in friendship.
Yeah.
All of you. And raise your hand if you believe relationships matter.
Big time.
Big time. I also believe in each of these. Given the time that I don't have, which I do have, given the time that I don't have, what I'm going to be doing is talking about sharing a few tips on each of these aspects. So what I've done is taking time to nurture relationships and friendships, and I'll be talking about time, nurturing, relationships, and friendship. But I'll be sharing 1 or 2 tips of each of these. How does that sound?
Great.
Beautiful, beautiful. But before I do that, what I'd like you to do is to clap for yourself. You're being here. You could be anywhere else at this point of time, especially given there's a ceremony going on. But you choose to be here to deepen your relationship. So thank you for being here. Just to give you a bit of a background about myself, my name is Michael Charming. I am an orgasm and relationship coach, emotional detox body worker, and author of an upcoming book, Amplify Your Orgasm. But we'll keep this to relationship. I have been in the field of sexuality and relationship for more than 6 years. And I have learned a lot as a result of these experiences, and I wish that things that I have learned, had I been taught during my school days and college days, then I wouldn't have to go through all those breakups. Because that kind of education is not given to us. And then imagine how much time and energy we spend in reconciling ourselves after those breakups, which has a whole impact to the rest of our lives. So this is my mission. One of the missions now is to spread awareness and education around relationship and sexuality, something that should have been done by my parents or by society. So here I am today. Time. What does time mean for you? So give me your thoughts. When we talk about time, what is the first few things that comes to your mind?
So for me, it's a concept basically that was created by people to have some sort of organization and celebration, and just to have, I don't know how to define it actually, just to name it, just so we have days, nights, years, so we can count our days.
Okay, so for you, time is a concept.
It is a concept. I don't care about time.
Okay.
For me, time does not exist unless you are an observer of time. So it only exists in the mind of the observer.
Yeah.
Okay, so time exists in the mind of the observer, but it doesn't exist otherwise.
Yeah.
What do other people believe? What's your view about time?
It's precious.
Sorry, what's
It's
that?
precious. It's precious.
It's precious. Time is very precious.
Time is very valuable and precious. You have to be aware of where you are and be conscious of time.
Sure. Beautiful, beautiful.
It's a different
See, these are all absolutely amazing concepts that you all have. Really, really beautiful. For me, when I refer to time, I think just like we make difference in our bodies, we have a physical body, we have an emotional body, we have a spiritual body. In the same way, for me, time has these references too. So when I say physical time, that's what we refer to as a calendar, because there is 24 hours. There is 365 days in a week. That's the physical time, right? When we talk about the energetic aspect, that's what we talk about the subconscious, where their time is of no value. It's all energy. So would you agree that time from an energy concept is unlimited?
Yeah.
Right? But time from a physical concept is limited.
Yeah.
Right? So this is one of the very important aspects to consider, that when we say we don't have time, what are we referring to? Right? Did you have time yesterday?
Yes.
Do you have time today?
Yes.
That means you'll have time tomorrow. Right? Did you have a lack of time yesterday?
Yes.
Did you have a lack of time today? You'll have a lack of time tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? So you see, depending on how we see time and in which context, it becomes of great importance. So, organization is very important, but at the same time, if I believe I have energy, I have time. If I believe I don't have energy, time is equal to energy, I don't have time. So my role as an individual being is how do I create that energy / time so that it gives me that space that I believe I have time. Yeah?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Powerful, powerful.
Yeah? Good. So that's just a little bit about time. Nurture. What's your view about nurturing?
Protective.
Protecting.
Mentoring, caring.
Mentoring, caring. When we talk about
But
nurture,
you develop as well.
Loving.
Something that is
something that's loving. Beautiful. So nurture for me is putting my energy, putting my focus, putting my attention onto something. Right? Now for me, the biggest nurturing comes from self-care. Right? So if I'm doing something for myself, I feel I am nurturing myself. If I am putting an attention on a baby, like with an energy, I'm nurturing the baby. Right? In the same way, if I'm putting time and attention on relationship and friendship, I'm actually nurturing them. But if I'm not spending the time and energy, then how can I expect the relationship or the friendship to really go that deep? Now, one of the biggest things that's very important is when it comes to nurturing, there's something called desires and want. And a lot of times in our society, we confuse wants with desires. We believe, how many of you are familiar with desires?
Yeah.
Okay, some of you not, some of you are not familiar. Okay. So, and how many of you are familiar with want?
Yeah.
Yeah. So want is something that's more of what we need to survive in this society, irrespective of the fact whether they help us fulfill at a spiritual or at a deep core level. Like I want a car, I want money, I want job. So these are just the basic necessities that are important to live, but not necessary for our own nourishment deep inside. Desires, for those of you who are not familiar with, is something that is so deep that when they get fulfilled, we feel so deeply nourished. Right? So I desire a deeper friendship. When I get that friendship, there is nourishment. A different part of me comes out in this world to face those wants. So that's why it becomes very important to differentiate whether you're running after a want or you're running after a desire in your day-to-day life. Yeah. And if you add the concept of nurturing on top, am I nurturing my want or am I nurturing my desire? Yeah. Before we go into relationships, I would like to start with friendship. What's your view about friendship? What do you believe what a friendship is?
sharing time.
It's an energy transfer between two bodies. It could be an animal or whatever, two bodies, which causes both parties to feel fulfilled at some level, whether it's platonic or otherwise.
So it's an energy transfer between two bodies where you have some sort of fulfillment, some sort of satisfaction.
Yes.
That's what you call a friendship.
Yes.
What's other people's view here? What do you believe a friendship is?
It's where I am myself.
Where you're with yourself. So
I'm not judged. I
Oh,
don't
well,
have
you
to pretend.
sure.
I'm who I am, and nobody's, and I love that space.
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
what it is.
Okay, so for you, it's more about having that space where you can come out as openly as possible without being judged by anyone.
Yeah, I don't have to pretend to
Don't
be
have to
somebody.
pretend. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's. Oh, sorry.
It's choosing someone, saying, hey, I like you and I'd like to have more experiences with you.
I like to have more experience with you in choosing. Beautiful, beautiful. Are you going to say something?
So for me, friendship is some sort of relationship as well, because we need connection with people, support, help, someone to talk to, just to connect and share our life with and our experiences.
Yes.
Be platonic.
Yes.
Okay. So friendship is like sharing, caring, like lot of laughter, lot of togetherness, happiness, joy, and of course fighting also sometimes.
Sure. Do you believe there is a motivation in friendship? Do you believe there is a motivation in friendship? Right? I call friendship. I refer to friendship as friendship by design. So what does that mean? That I am making friends with someone for a purpose. Right? Whether we want to go out for travel, that's my travel friendship with those buddies. Right? Whether it's a friendship to write something together or just share something together. So when I put those friendships by design, then what happens is I don't expect everything from everyone. And my friendship has those boundaries. Yeah, how does it sound? So take time to nurture relationships and friendships. Which brings us to relationship. What are 2 or 3 things which are very important to have deeper relationship?
Trust.
Trust, friendship,
Honesty.
honesty,
Communication.
communication. Yes, all of that. So for me, the 3 most important things for a relationship is, first is communication. Right? Now, communication is not just expression of words, it's not just saying words, but it's expression in any form. Right? So it could be an expression of a body language, right? Or it could be an expression of an art. Right? That's also communication. Now, of course, whether the other person is able to see that in that perspective is what makes the whole communication complete. Otherwise, it's an incomplete communication. So the question to ask is, in your relationship, when you're communicating, are you aware whether the other person has received that or not? Because a man and a woman have very different ways of communicating, right? That's why you have a lot of problems that emerge in a relationship, because our communication way of understanding is different. So that's the first key aspect. And when I talk about communication, I also say that listening is very important. Because a lot of times in a relationship, when a woman is communicating, we men, who are generally not good listeners, have this tendency to say that I'm hearing you, I'm listening to you, but we're not actually physically present. We're not emotionally present. So for me, a communication to happen, there has to be a good listening and an expression. One person should only say, the other person should listen. It should never be a case where both the parties are saying things together, because then there is no communication happening, or it's not being effective, right? So I would invite you to pay attention, even when we are in a social context, how much of you are actually responding before even somebody has completed their communication, right? Second important aspect in relationship for me is what I spoke earlier, nurture. So nurturing with my time, nurturing with my energy, nurturing with my attention. Right? And then desire. So just like I have my core deep desires, the other person has their core deep desires too. So asking them, what is your deep desire in this relating with me? Where would you like it to take it? Once I'm clear what their core desires are, then I know where they stand. Now, a lot of times people would not be even aware of it, and that's where It is our job to help them reflect what their true desires are. Yeah. And the third thing for me that's very important is what I call the inner and the outer world's reflection. How many of you have heard this that says your inner world is your outer world and your outer world is your inner world?
Big time.
Right? We live in a context where we spend a lot of time on social media, on the online platforms, and as a result, our time, attention, this attention span has gone reduced and reduced and reduced. Right? So our outer world has impacted our attention, our inner world to such an extent. And that's why what I say is that we need to bring a balance. If I'm spending so much time on the social media, which is affecting my outer world and then inner world, I need to do something inner so that it can bring the balance back. Right. So my question is, how much time on a daily basis do you actually spend with your own self to bring that balance of the inner world? And also, because these two are actually polarizing each other, it's also important to give the time and space for each of these to have an impact. What does that mean? Instead of running around one after the other, so I've done something externally and then I'm running after something, doing more things externally without allowing the effect of it to come and integrate with me internally. So that's what I would say in terms of relationship. So take time to nurture relationships and friendships. What are one or two things so far you have learned from this share so far? Would you like to share in terms of this topic? Yes.
Get really clear on your intentions for your relationships and your friendships, and just be transparent. This is what I would desire from our relationship. I think that would transform most people's lives.
Beautiful, beautiful. Transparency, that's also a very important aspect. When we say transparency, we also talk about authenticity. So being authentic in your communication with someone else, I think a lot of in today's world, especially in a relationship, you will find that the opposite partner, they're not really honest, especially men if they're going on cheating around or having desire for someone else. We don't communicate those desires to our partner just because we think that it can impact our relationship. But we don't realize that these desires of me liking someone else is there, it's in me. I'd like to share one story here. So there was a time when I was walking with my then girlfriend, and while we were walking, there was this nice girl walking in front of us. We were walking on a hike, and I was just looking at her ass. It's like she's right up in the front, and my girlfriend is walking. We're going together on a hike, and I'm looking at her ass. I'm just admiring, really, I was in nature beauty, and I was just and I was just admiring that beautiful ass. So she said to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm just looking at her ass and enjoying it and admiring the beauty." Guess what? She got angry. She said, "You're staring at her ass." I'm like, "I'm admiring it." I was like, "Well, you haven't admired my ass in that way." I said, "Do you want an honest answer?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I think her ass is slightly better." And guess what happened?
You got slapped.
But we didn't slap, but there was no communication whatsoever between us for the next 2 days.
Whoa.
She didn't speak to me at all. And that hike, she left me. She said, "I'm going alone." And she went all alone. And of course, that girl in the front had gone by then. So I had to make my whole way all to the top. But the good thing that happened is that I said the honest thing without having to worry about how our relationship will have an impact. I could have even said that, "You know what, I'm doing nothing, I'm just looking at something else," which a lot of guys do. But that's not the thing I was doing. So, yeah.
So where does compassion come into play here?
Compassion is actually, in my view, is me being present with myself. Because when I'm being present with myself and I'm being authentic, then actually I'm working from a place of love for myself. And I'm coming out from that. So in relationship context, if I know that I have love within me and I'm honest, that thing is going to come out. And that's what's going to happen. So other people might not believe it that way because they will have their own stories to it. But if they were to look deeply, I'm not running after her ass. I'm just admiring it. I'm just admiring the beauty. And that's the conversation we had after 2 days. You know, but I think that's the conversation she would have had and said, hey, I feel that I'm not feeling happy about it because you said this thing. And that's the level of conversation would have opened so many other things. You know, okay, why are you feeling that way? Are you feeling insecure? You know, what is it about it? Okay, can I not enjoy and admire? Aren't there other beautiful human beings on this planet other than you? Right? So that takes a whole level of communication to a different level, but the most important thing is being authentic. So, yeah. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's what basically talking about, being authentic, being honest. I can share another example with it if you would like to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so see, I'm a very honest and authentic person, like in life and also in relationship, and it does come at a cost. I tell you, it does come at a cost. So one of my girlfriends asked me while we were having a lovemaking session. She asked me, "How do I taste down there?" You know, like when we were going through, and I said, would you like an honest answer? You know, I'm not going to make it up, but would you like an honest answer? She said, yeah, I want to know how do I taste. And I said, well, you don't really taste good. Guess what? No sex for 2 weeks. But I was being honest. I don't want you to make it. I said, like, it really stinks and it really doesn't taste good. We didn't have sex for 2 weeks. And of course, as a man, I felt very angry and frustrated. And what do? I can't say you taste like strawberries when you don't. You know, and of course, after 2 weeks, we had a conversation. I said, look, this is how it tastes, and we can change it. We can work through it. Your taste is dependent on how the energy flow is in your body, right? And let's work together and make it better. Right? And then we really started working towards it. It took us about 4 or 5 weeks. And then she asked me when we were doing lovemaking, how do I taste now? And I said, slightly better.
But why did you say, if you knew that she didn't taste nice, before she communicated and you realized, if you were being authentic with yourself, you would have said, you know, darling, let's work on this. Yeah?
Because I didn't know whether she would want to work on this or not.
But how would you know if you didn't ask?
Yeah, so I had no issue by her tasting that way.
Okay.
Because I was enjoying it, even though it wasn't the taste like a strawberry. You know, for me it was okay, but it was her thing that needs to be dealt through. I didn't raise the point and said, "Hon, you don't really taste good." It was her question to ask, and I answered honestly. So that's what happens when you are really living an authentic and honest communication in a relationship. That also happens with parents, you know, with your friends. Notice how much in your relationship are you actually going with that level of authenticity. And I do want to warn here that if you go with that, your relationship will get triggered, you will get triggered, and it's all part of it. That's where you ask first, what are your desires for a relationship? If they say, my desire is to go deeper, then tell them, I'm going to be authentic, which means we will get triggered a lot, but we work together. Thank you so much. That's me, Michael Charming. That energy actually feels in your body. Right? And where do you feel it? If love is an energy, we have love inside, where does it feel and how does it feel? Pay attention to this. You will know a love energy has a very different feeling than an anger energy.
How do you feel your love energy? Where does it come from?
So for me, my love energy actually comes from right from this heart. And I really feel it. It's very nice, it's very soft. over the years, I have developed myself into a practice where that energy actually now flows in my body, I can pay my attention, and that love energy can translate, right? So when I'm communicating to someone, especially in this context, I know I'm actually being very aware of my energy, that love energy, right? So if I'm feeling that love energy in my body and I'm communicating, I know that I'm actually coming from a place of love. Right? Now it can also happen that I might not be feeling that love energy and I'm saying it, but then I know that I am not feeling that love energy and I'm saying it. In that case, my intention might be of love, but I don't have that love energy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So most of the time when we communicate, we might say, "I love you, darling." That's words.
But you feel it.
Do you feel it? How does that feel? But that takes the whole thing to a different level.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. That's powerful. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Do we have one photo?
Yeah.
Do we have one photo together?
Yes.